Hey folks, Steve here with another Arracourt video. I'm gonna butcher every single town name that is in French, so be prepared for that. Anyway, we're gonna start the playthrough here with turn one. Now I've made a couple of adjustments for what I had shown in the introduction video. I've gone ahead and placed a couple of these indicator markers near the HQ. So while I do have a lot of administrative things on the formation cards, I am going to just help remind myself of the support level provided within that formation with the marker near the HQ rather than all the other administrative counters. We'll see how I feel about it, but just a good mnemonic to show. So as we look at the situation, we do see a variety of setups here. So I do want to talk about the goal here of what we want to try to do as each side, and I've already done a couple of preliminary parts of the phase, sort of like pre-turn phase stuff. The very first thing that we need to do is take care of weather, and so for weather, and there is a player aid chart that governs this uh, for for the game. Um, I rolled a three, which gives us fog weather as it happens. Now, it kind of reminds me, just because we're dealing with uh, the units that we are and the rough time frame, I'm reminded of a PC game called Panthers in the Fog. So fog does a couple of things in the system. One, it means that visibility is only one hex. So when the game uses terms like engagement zones, and we have ranged armor, anti-tank rather, anti-armor value type of things, where we have a range of more than one. This turn it goes down to one hex visibility. So that's the limit of range, which means that any sort of like ranged weapon advantage that a side may have or a formation may have is heavily reduced. And I'm going to have to look to see if that does anything for screening, but it was interesting to see that I got fog. So first turn fog. It'll be interesting to see exactly like what does that mean in terms of advantages, disadvantages. The first thing I can tell you for sure is that it affects allied air points. So in this game, I believe only the allies are going to have air points, and that's an additional die roll. I rolled a three for that as well. So of the two dice I rolled, I got threes. That means that the allies in fog don't get any additional air points, which function basically like additional artillery support opportunities. Though we do get the special Bazooka Charlie air point, and I've put that on the uh, record track as a reminder that we have that. That's a special rule thing where basically we get one shot at a armor valued German unit for whatever we think is valuable, and it has to be an armor unit. It can't be like an infantry unit, with the hope that we can ping something for a step loss. So as the allies will certainly have to figure out like where would be a good opportunity to use that. So I guess from that perspective, the allies might have preferred to get good weather, and then they'd get a bunch of air points and have a lot more advantage. So the Germans can maybe make use of the fog to operate well. Starting off, looking at the east side of the south side of the map. I got to remember that the map is twisted here. Um, in the south, we have the 21st Panzer Division. Strong unit. It comes in as part of the reinforcements for turn one. So this is just like they enter the map at fatigue 2, and I have their 88s in support. I've chosen to keep them in support because that support is just so darn strong, that I would like to leverage that, and so I put it into support, which means that the formation has standoff support, which will help us in various situations. But the problem is the reduced range doesn't do a whole lot for us this first turn. But Still a hardy formation. And what I realized as they come on, my plan is to have them head down this road. I don't know that they're going to be able to do much to flank Lunaville because I know looking ahead that there's going to be two formations of reinforcements from the Americans that are going to come onto the map, and they're going to have to deal with that. And we certainly don't want to. What we want to do is we want to use this space to keep the U.S. forces from being able to uh, basically come up around, defeat our forces, or make it so that the 75th Infantry Division and the 106th Cavalry Group of the Americans can come up to hold Lunaville while these guys shift north and cause additional trouble at other victory point locations. So we kind of need the 21st Panzer Division to fight and support an offensive against Lunaville, but I'm uncertain how far they're going to be able to go. I had to do a double take at the setup information because there's this Free French formation that's going to come in at the same entry zone as the 21st Panzer Division and very likely right near where they're going to be operating. And I'm not sure what to think of that. I'm struggling to think what will happen because if we leave the 21st Panzer Division's uh, combat train and HQ structure over here, well, the Free French, when they enter, which is not until turn 5, so who knows what will have happened by then, but I don't want them to come here and all of a sudden stomp on our main supply line. So I, because I know that's going to happen, I need to think through what to do with them. These guys have to come in here. So I may want to move them up, maybe get some guys onto this main primary road, and eventually move the combat train up here and trace supply back up, back this way. So we need to come in here, but maybe we can deploy down and do something to where we can hang tough when the French come on. It's a really weird position for that German formation. I just don't know the best way to make use of them because of that. That's a really tricky part of the situation. I'm unsure what to do or how best to deal with it. Part of the problem is that those reinforcing formations down here are going to come on turn 2, so they're going to come on pretty quickly. So I guess here would be part of the plan. Can the 21st Panzer Division come down, maybe try to get across the Mortagne River. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Get across the river, fight these infantry divisions, hope that the armor advantage allows the Germans maybe to hurt these U.S. divisions so badly that they can shift weight back north. When they can. It's really hard to say. But we need to, at least for these first couple of turns, we need the 21st Panzer Division come down, fight in this area. We need their blob in that area. I've chosen to bring in both reserve division formations, or rather the brigades, the Panzer brigades. I'm bringing both in on turn 1 as the German player. I want as much force on the map as I can. I want to use the strength of these German formations to hit the Americans before they get reinforcements. So we're going to flood in everything we've got, try to chip, blunt, and hurt the Americans badly enough that we can get in good positions for the long campaign, long reasonably speaking. So I'm having the 103rd Panzer Brigade enter up here. They have red support. I'm going to send them down this primary road with the idea that their supply route, because again, we need to watch and make sure we're not crossing streams, getting our supply lines tangled up in a piers, and another formation. We want this road and over here to be for the 21st Panzer Division. We want this main road to be for the 113th Panzer Brigade, and have them sail down south, or west. Gosh darn it! I'm going to keep saying it that way, guys. I'm so sorry. They're going to head west to Lunaville. So this is their supply track. This is their stream here. I'm going to head down this way. The hope would be that they can get down there, disrupt the second cavalry group if they can, take control of Lunaville, contest the CCR Fourth Armor Formation, Combat Command, and reserve and contest that, get in a good position, hold strong at Lunaville. That's what they're going to try to do. The 15th Panzer Group Division, or Panzer Grenadier Division. Gosh, I'm misspeaking all over the place today, guys. I'm sorry. They have red support too. They are holding what is effectively defensive positions, leveraging the river, kind of holding maybe this is the anvil, and here come the hammers, is what I'm thinking. They want to hold this. It doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for them other than it gives them a clear way to shift weight so they can continue to pressure on Lunaville. They can potentially spring across this river and instead focus on Arracourt proper as needed. And they've got red support, so they can certainly contest the armor group that may attack them from the American side. So I can hope that these guys remain a stalwart hold on the center there. And then in the north, I'm going to say it north, not west, north, I'm bringing in the 111th Panzer Brigade here. And my thought process is for them to use this primary road here as a pathway to cut down and either go for Arracourt, go for Chateau Celine, whichever may matter at that point. But I want to make sure they have a clear path, a clear road, and I do want them to sail down if they can catch these. It's kind of hard to see because of the glare. I apologize for that. This screening unit, this armor unit here, that's got a few steps. If we can jump on those guys and just tear them up, it's going to mean less frontage for the Combat Command A, the blue formation here, here and here, from being able to contest us. So if we can concentrate some of our formation's firepower, hurt these guys very badly, come down, continue to hurt these formations while they're separated, I want to do that. I want to take the speediest path to do damage. I need to blunt the Americans, hurt them as much as possible on my path, west functionally, and begin to retake the victory point hexes. I just think I will potentially do better if I can hurt and wipe out. That might be a lofty goal to wipe out a whole formation, but if we can wipe out individual units, that will nullify the effect of that formation. And as the Americans bring on reinforcements, we'll be able to fight one formation on one formation rather than the Germans trying to fight three different American formations at the same time. That will mean that eventually, and this will be hard to see because of the glare, when we get our two other formations, the 11th Panzer Division and the 559th Grenadier Division, when they come on, they will then supplement the push. So they will be aimed here and here, depending on the success of that first orange band formation that we would be sending down here. We may be in a very good position to take these and hold against the reinforcing forces. They just have to contest and break the Combat Command A, Combat Command B over here. There will be a reinforcing infantry division, but if we can have knocked these guys back or have sort of won the armor duel, we won't need to worry as much about those forces coming in. We'll be able to kind of play a very strong, Western defense. We would then have to worry about the Combat Command B of the 6th Armor coming on, but ideally by then we'll be in decent shape. That's at least the hope. So as I'm looking around, it's just gonna be a little tricky for the Germans. It feels like they're gonna have a hard time making progress, but who knows? We'll see how the game goes. Now, from the American perspective, um, not much more we can do other than just make what progress we can. So we want this combat command to get into the victory spot, figure out how to defend here. If we can, we certainly would want the combat command A to pull back and get aligned, and kind of get set up a bit better. We're going to have to try a second activation with these guys. I can't find in the rules if you like, they have to try a second activation, but it's unclear to me if they have to, like, that's their first activation. They have to try to do the second activation for a used formation. I'm going to choose to do it that way because I guess that makes more sense to me. I don't know. So they got to pull back, they need to consolidate, and then operate on an active defense and counterpunch when they can. And then likewise, we need to pull back some of the second cavalry potentially. We need to move this combat command forward probably, see if we can relieve some pressure north of Lunaville, and then hope that as these other reinforcements can come down from the south, that they can defeat the 21st Panzer Division, kind of, beat them with numbers potentially, and then use that to relieve pressure on Lunaville. And again, if we can do a shift such that we can allow our formations to make a deep advance. I'm just thinking hypothetically here. I'm not sure how well this is going to go. If the French can beat back the 21st Division, if we can have the 79th Infantry support that, then maybe we have the 106th Cavalry Group be protecting Lunaville. Maybe the 2nd Cavalry Group's been shut down very hard, but they can move in, hopefully defend. That may give the ability for the Combat Command Reserve to push this way, actually. And if we can push hard enough, or at least force this division back, that would allow the Combat Command B of the 6th Armor to come up this way and support or help defend Arracourt proper, and everything just kind of flows out from there. So I have a very rough idea of the way this probably needs to go for each side, but the snafu die rolls, the weather, the resulting combats, the results of barrages are all going to put a hard twist on that. But I do have a general idea of what I want each formation to do, and I think that's very important in the system to understand, like, what is the whole formation's goal? What are they supposed to do? What are they going to try to achieve? Where are you going to put those objective markers? Because in this game, you must place objective markers to direct and focus the effort of your activation. So having a good idea of what's that going to look like? What are we going to try to achieve, and act in concert with that. So with that, let's see what else we have. We don't get any replacements, and like I said, we've placed the reinforcements to the degree that I want to start with. And so we can basically get rolling for activations. Now, Germans get first activation. And again, I'm trying to understand the way that this, like, previous activation works. From that perspective, I believe I have to try to activate with these guys. I'm not sure if that's a distinct activation or not. So there's just a rule here that a formation listed as used in the setup must attempt a second activation during the first turn. And what? And normally in the rules, it's, a second activation, if any, must be attempted immediately after a formation's initial activation. Each formation must activate at least once. Formations that set up done are, can't activate anymore, so they're truly done. And we took care of that for one of the American formations. One that sets up used must attempt a second activation. The setup has removed its initial activation, so this is an exception. The Both types of formations return to normal in succeeding turns. Uh, so does that count as the very first activation? It'd be an attempt to activate. So I guess I'm tripped up by that. So I'm going to try to figure out how I want to handle that. Just me handling it is one thing. How it should be handled in a face-to-face game may be more important. But the thing here is I'm not playing with chit pool. While this is solitaire and playing chit pool would be mighty fun and good, I am going to play it standard where each side's going to get to go because I want to think through all the repercussions of that. But I do want to make sure I get this right, so I need to think that through here. Okay, based on the research that I could perform, based on after action reports of other people playing, it appears I can still pick that first activation. I don't have to make it an attempt to reactivate the 15th PG div. Now, if I'm wrong about that, somebody can let me know. But I had seen an after action report on Board Game Geek that had Carl Fung comment on it and just relaying things about the game. It didn't appear that an issue with that was called out that I could see. Maybe I went too fast, but I'm going to go ahead and let that decision fly then of who can activate is up to me. I would very much like to jump on the combat command A of the 4th Armor with some of these exposed units if I can. The screening may matter here. The fact that we have this going on could be a factor here. I'm going to figure that out. That's what I want to do. So we're going to activate them. Now, first thing I want to do, I'm going to put the card in view here, and I'm just going to pick it up because I want to make sure we keep it nearby for this. So our formation has red support. We don't have any additional artillery points, but the HQ indicates 0 artillery. Okay, this force has 0 artillery. That's all. So now we're going to do the activation. Now there's a whole page in the rule book on how we do this, but first things first, we're identifying the formation. We're going to flip the HQ to the used side here. So you can see that. Used. And then we're going to conduct strictly in order. We're going to add or increase the active formation's main supply route blocked marker if its combat trains are off map. That's not the case. We're going to remove the active formation's combat trains if we don't have a complete MSR. That is not the case. We're going to create, maintain, and remove the activations prepared defense. We are not on defense. We're going on offense. That's okay. And we don't have coordination markers. So from that perspective, we are all good. So now we're going to make a snafu roll. The snafu roll is going to govern like how effective are we going to be. Oh man, I got it wrong. Guys. I just saw this, so we do have artillery points. That's my bad. I know somebody was probably getting ready to comment about that, and now I just preempted you. I'm sorry. 1. So with that activation, what a system that we like to use at the convention was to use dice to remind us how many more we have in that activation. So we have 1 artillery point recurring because of the assigned artillery point that we have there. So we're going to keep that on him. He's going to have one shot, 1 barrage, or 1 combat supportive artillery with that formation. So we got that. So now we're going to make the snafu die roll. Now there could be any number of modifiers to this. The other thing, man, I'm not screwing up a lot, but I'm screwing up enough things to it for it to be annoying. technically, this group is fresh, and that does provide a bonus to the snafu die roll. So I'm going to look at my chart, follow along. I believe these charts are available on MMP's website. So fresh fatigue, that's true. We get a +1. No coordination marker, no other fatigue. We don't have a mixed formation, and we don't have a game-specific snafu DRM, as far as I can recall. So far, we've got a +1. Then the MSR is complete, which we'll then look to see, do we have optimal distance? That is at least 5 hexes, no more than 15. I'm not sure if it has to be at least a certain amount. That might be the tricky part. So let's understand that. The main supply route distance from an HQ to its combat trains must be between 5 and 15 hexes to gain this DRM. Optimal distance also applies if the combat trains are in the entry hex and the HQ is not more than 15 hexes away. Okay, we're not going to get that because they're in the same hex right now. So we don't get optimal distance, which is too bad. But we don't have ghost trains and we're not crossing the stream, so that's all good. If the main supply route uses tracks, well, that's not the case. We're on a main road there. And then that's it. So we functionally have a +1 to our die roll. So we're going to roll 2 dice. I'm walking through this slowly so that you guys understand. And this is where you can see on the charts the snafu information. So these are the modifiers. That's what you're going to roll. We want a 7. And on 2 dice, getting a 7 should be achievable on a +1. A full snafu, I don't like the terminology. I wish it was a little bit clear. It's like full activation versus a partial activation. That's really the terminology I'd prefer. So we're going to roll 2 dice. We're going to add 1. And, okay, so I've got a 5, +1 is a 6. So we only got a partial activation. Interesting. Okay, so we can put 1 objective marker down. I'm going to put that objective marker on the armored unit here, or I'm going to place it like that so that the arrow is pointing at the hex that I want, just for cleanliness here. You should probably, if you're playing this game, stick to that mnemonic, like whichever you want. Either the marker is in the hex or it's pointing to the hex, but pick a method and stick to it. For this, I'm going to use the objective markers to point to the hex that I care about, at least until things get messy. So dang. We can still do recon objectives, which is adding additional objectives via recon units. We still can do that. But our movement allowance is only halved. So that's a bummer. That could affect, how we want to operate here. We also have half an artillery point, which rounds down. So we actually won't get the use of our 1 artillery. So I'm just going to take the die away to represent that. And let's see. But we can do voluntary retreats. We can flip counter sides. We can move our combat trains if we needed to. And we can do combat. So I would have really have given the +1. I would have really liked to get a full 1, but I think we can still make some progress on this. So now that we've done snafu and we have our partial, we placed our objective marker, done that. That's part D, and now we get to the activities, which is the main part of the activation. So we conduct formation unit activities. Not finished units conduct their choice of movements, engagements, regular attacks, shock attacks, barrages, etc. And then, yeah, so we're going to do this for each unit. Now, there's a distinction between finished and stopped. And again, this is not a learn to play series, but the idea is like finished is that unit is done doing stuff, period. Um, but stopped means they're just momentarily not doing anything else. So it is possible to do some activities and move on to another unit, but uh, it's mostly for setting up attack support and things like that. 3.4, the activities section of the rulebook that kind of goes through all this. Units have to be moved individually, not as stacks. If I had any barrages, I'd have to figure out when I wanted to use those. Um, so I need to think about this for a second. So here's the trick with this guy. So at the moment, we do have red support on all our units, but that is a red unit. I mean, it's armor. We probably want it. We can't drop support on that guy. That formation doesn't have support anyway, but a real AV unit doesn't have support. So uh, I'm just going to have to figure out, am I going to do an engagement against this guy? I'm probably going to have to. And each unit has a firing event. So the way this should go is let's look at what's our best shot against an 8. That's going to be a problem. So if we have half movement, and this guy went because of this road type, the movement cost for a tracked unit or a tactical movement unit, which would be what that armor unit is of ours, the Germans. Primary road is 1/2. So if we only have, if we were to go like that, we have 2 movement. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be not nearly enough. We would have 1, 2, 3 hexes to fire, but the fog matters here. So we don't have visibility. We can move up to here, and if the weather was not fog, we could fire and outrange that American armor unit, but we can't. And this partial activation is what's going to screw us up. Now, alternatively, what I can try to do, and this is risky, but I'm not sure I'm going to get a better opportunity here. I could have them go down on their movement side and go, 1, 2, 3, and then get engaged in the firing, but we would be disadvantaged, which I'm not sure I enjoy the idea of that, but it might be worth a shot. The other thing I need to look at is screening, because that unit is screening, and that may affect how close we can get. But then again, the weather is going to affect some of this stuff. So the screening allows recon units to slow enemy unit without undue risk to themselves. Screen zone units. A unit marked screen has no ZOC, can move recon spot for barrages, cannot end movement, stack with any other unit, cannot attack, assist, attack, they're finished upon entering an AV EZOC. Enemy tactical or truck movement units cannot enter the hex occupied by the screen unit. Enemy deployed leg movement allowance units can enter the hex. Retreating does not affect the unit screen marking or cause the counter to flip. The screen zone includes all hexes around the screen unit out to a number of hexes away from the unit. Screen zones exist to a radius of 3 hexes. Ignore enemy units and terrain for zone purposes. And so I think the weather doesn't actually affect this as far as I can tell. However, 1, 2, 3, okay. So we would still have more than enough movement points to get here. Okay, so yeah, this potentially slows down this unit for the moment. So we did basically 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have plenty of movement left over. So we used 4 movement points. But that is still going to get us close enough now to be here. Now, because there is a Zoc projected by this armor unit, and again, the engagement zones are limited by the weather of fog. So quite literally, Panther's in the fog situation here. We're going to have an engagement effectively here. The screening, I don't see any other case that's going to matter for the screening unit for the moment. So now we're just going to be getting into an engagement. So we're going to do an engagement type of combat. This is going to be a fire event. So every activated unit gets 2 fire events. So this would be one of them, of this German unit against that American unit. Again, at a disadvantage. So I'm kind of nervous about this, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, the limits on the range of the engagement is the problem. Had this been clear weather, we'd have fired from not as close up at this point. And as we rolled up on this unit, this is one of those situations where you would want to double check about EZOCs, enemy zones of control, because these are armor, so it kind of doesn't matter for this one. It would matter if we were trying to approach that guy maybe with our infantry. So we're going to do an engagement die roll, and let's see, where is it? Here we go. So the base for each side is its armor value plus its action rating. So for the Americans, that's 3 plus 5 is 8. For the Germans, because we're on our move side and I had set these guys down in combat mode, the Americans were in combat mode and the Germans are in move formation. The Germans only have a 7. Now, it would have been very nice to have this be a double objective, but that requires a full snafu, and we didn't get that. That maybe had made up the difference that we needed. Then we also have modifiers that could apply for the Americans. I don't really see any. Prepared defense doesn't matter here. Multiple supports is not a factor here. There's not a non-support standoff unit involved. And so this is just a comparison. So the net modifier here is a -1. The Americans are 1 better. We're going to roll 2 dice. This could be very bad. And the target is real AV. So there's a whole chart here to look at. Again, these charts should be available online. You can grab those if you want to take a closer peek. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so the Germans rolled a 10. -1 is a 9. So we achieved a target loss and retreat. So let's see. I believe it's just 1 loss. So let's see. Yeah, I think it's just straight up they take a step loss and they have to retreat, and a retreat is 3 hexes and be moved to their move side. Um, so this unit normally has 3 steps. That's the superscript number there. Normally has 3 steps. I believe we're doing there. It's in increments of 1 step, as best as I can tell, if I recall correctly. Um, yeah, a step loss and a retreat. So what we're going to need to do, and this is like the first time I've had to go do this, I'm going to get my step loss marker out and show that loss. And I made a commitment to round the corners of these things as I use them. So you hear it clipping as I do that. So now this guy goes from 3 steps, and I'm going to flip him to his move side. He now has 2 steps. So we have this oriented the same way you're meant to read the counter. So instead of 3, now has 2 steps and has to retreat 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3. So that's goodness so far. And the only problem will be that they retreated out of our objective zone, which could be a problem. So the objective goes out to 2 hexes beyond. That's a problem. Let me think through what I want to do with this. Okay, had to do some rules verification here. So all good, right? Force the Americans to retreat. Here's our problem. I would love to move forward and continue to fire on these guys, get into this hex, but that engagement zone is going to be our problem. So we've spent 1, 2, 3 plus 1 is 4 getting into this hex because it's in the engagement zone of the screening unit. So that's 4 movement. To go to here, so like 1 from the roads, but then 1 each for each hex because the engagement zone is going to be 3. So now he's at 7. He only has 8 movement points. He doesn't have enough movement points to enter any other hex. So that's as far as he can get. And because of the visibility of the fog, we can't fire on anyone else. And because we're in our deployed side, that's the case. If these were in their combat side or their deployed side, we wouldn't have to worry about that, but we do here. So unfortunately, while we did good, that screening unit is hurting us. If we got a full activation, this wouldn't be a problem. So you can start to see that snafu roll hurts so bad. We just can't do the kind of thing. I would love to fire again because now that the American unit is on its move side, our values are the same, 7 is 7. Now I'm not at a disadvantage. I got lucky on that first one. A second shot might further hurt that American unit. We might be able to make more progress. I would love to be able to do that, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to, and that's a bummer. Even if I try to move additional forces forward, I'm going to run right into that engagement zone, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it because of the fog. And so while I might have thought, hey, the Germans can use this fog, we're going to roll up, and maybe that's, the fog ended up not helping the Germans here. I thought maybe it was going to, but the fact that our tanks outranged the Americans, well, we didn't get to use that advantage. And these screening units of this, mechanized cav, well, they're basically using the fog to their advantage. They've got this they're screening. We can't pursue the enemy tanks like we want to. We're just getting slowed down, and that sucks. That's a problem. So I need to figure out some other way to make progress here. I may have some options, but they're going to be tricky. And I'm looking. Ah, man, what a trip. So here's what we'll try to do. So we try to bring in another armor unit, try to shoot these guys away, right? You go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get there either. So if we went to 4 here, right? He's only got 7 movement points. Then it'd be um, 7 just to get to here, and we're not going to be able to fire on him. So that's a problem. That's a bummer, man. I'm feeling bummed about that. I don't like that. That sucks. So I'm just going to have to chalk this up to a bad starting set of die rolls. There's just really no other way to do it here, and try to move these guys. And maybe I should have them on their deployment side and just go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just do that. That maybe is the best thing. I'm a little bummed about it, but one, 2.5. We'll just do that. And then do I have any danger otherwise? We'll just do 1, 2, and that track. I might well just leave him here. So not what I wanted. Now I would love to go again. So let's first run through the rest of the action. We're not going to do this to this depth every activation, guys. We simply can't. But I'm running you through an example of how some of this works and the things that you need to be thinking about when you're playing, because this is difficult to show and show that, like, what's coherent, what makes sense, what hurts. So we do our cleanup, and now we're gonna see if fatigue increase is possible. The active player rolls to see if it occurs. Almost certainly going to probably deal with that. So we've got to do a roll for this now. We have a chance to not gain any. That would be ideal. So let's see here. It's not what I thought we were going to do. Okay. Roll for fatigue increase every activation which any of the reasons listed in the table. Okay, so it's on the table. Gosh darn it. All right, so what do we do? We placed a combat objective. Yeah, we did that. We did engagement. Okay. We didn't do an attack, a true attack sequence. And we didn't do a voluntary HQ retreat. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and roll the die. So it's a single die roll. What we don't want is a roll of a 1 or a 2. We rolled a 5. And so we do not have a fatigue increase. But I suspect we lose the fresh rating. Okay, I forgot that I could also move the HQ, so I went ahead and did that. So with the fresh, I was looking to see, do you degrade from fresh to 0 no matter what? And it doesn't seem like you do. They get to stay being fresh, which gives them a +1 to various things. So that's going to be good. So now the question is, do we want to have a second activation? Well, I think we certainly want to try. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to. So yes, we definitely want to try. The question will then be how we do that. So there's a die roll value on the HQ itself, which is, you can see a 5 pips die. I believe that's the required thing that we need to do. Roll 1 die, add 1 of the die roll if the formation is fresh. That's true. If the modified die roll is greater than or equal to the roll required. Okay, so with the +1, we have a 50-50 chance of going again. I would love to go again. Let's see if it happens. And it does. So they will get to go again. Good job. A roll of 4 will do it in this case. We got a 4 plus 1 is a 5. 5 is what's on the die. They get to go again. So what are some of the restrictions here? Well, we're not going to be able to do anything else after this. But otherwise, it's like we get to go again. We will have to roll for fatigue again, but that's kind of where we're at. So now we've got to do another snafu roll. So this is a brand new snafu roll. We still get a +1 from, well, let's go through it all the way. Fresh fatigue, yes, +1. No coordination marker, no fatigue impact, none of that. So +1. Are we optimal distance now? Technically we are, because now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hexes away, at least 5 hexes, no more than 15, so that's a +2. And then nothing else matters. So we've got a +2 now to our snafu roll, so that's better. And we rolled an 11, so we really didn't need the +2 anyway. So we get a full activation. Okay, so a little slow off the mark, but hey, winning a gunfight with a disadvantage against the Americans maybe has instilled this formation with some elan that they're gonna leverage. So now what we can potentially do is switch some of these guys to tactical movement, and then we'll see where we get to. So what I'd like to start with is have this guy go 1, 2, and do a fire engagement here. Now the unit in screen and how much this is going to affect things will be interesting. So we want to clear the screen. That continues to be a thorn in our side. So we're going to have to do some engagements. We want to do the engagements, so I'm not too worried about that. So we're going to be doing the fire, and they're in terrain that would allow us to do this, so that's not an issue. And let's look at our modifiers for this one. So I'll move the screen marker away so you can see what we're dealing with here. So let's see. Okay. Oh, we forgot to set an objective. That's my bad. We need to do that. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a double objective on this hex, and then it's going to put everybody in these objective. Everybody we want to hurt right now are in these objective hexes. So if we want to end up following up anything with a combat, we could potentially do that. So objective set, I forgot to do that. We need to do that. Let me make sure I don't have any other missing things, because we got to try to play this right. Snafu, objective placement, now we're underway. Yep, we're good. Okay, so that's important because we we have our full movement, but we went to movement mode with this unit, came here. Visibility is still only 1 because of the fog, but we roll up. We get there. We're going to do an engagement fire, so we get a +1 for the double objective zone. And then the target is, I don't see, yeah, I don't see anything there. It's just, what's going to happen is we have less chance of actually doing damage on these guys. But the German value is a 7 plus 1 for the double objective is an 8 compared to the American 5. And I see no other modifiers here. So if I that's a +3. I've got to imagine that we're going to roll well here. On average, but we'll see. So 2 dice and +3 to that die roll. So we got an 8 plus 3 is 11. So target is real AV. That's the case. So we get a target loss and a retreat. So this gets reduced down to, here we go. He gets knocked down to a 3. And has to retreat. 3 hexes. Now I don't know that so we do like 1, 2, 3. Can we retreat over river? I don't know that it matters, but we'll double check that. That could maybe be very important. It could put these guys in a really bad situation as it happens. Okay, so they don't lose the screen marker. That's the first thing we need to understand, so that's true. Retreats are generally unaffected by terrain, enemy units, or Zocs, except for the no safe path. That's not really an issue. Okay, right. You just pick them up and move them 3 hexes back. Okay, so I think we would be going 1, 2, 3, and that's done. So that's one of these guys' fire events, and keeping in mind that he spent 2 movement points getting there. So now he could go, let's see, 1, 2, 3. He could go 1, 2, but he still can't fire anymore. He's out of things that he can do because of the fog. The fog continues to be an issue, but he's done for the moment. That's okay. So now what we'll do is we're going to have him move basically 1.5, half for the road, 1 because we're still in that engagement zone, unfortunately, and we're going to fire on the American unit. Now here we are advantaged quite a bit, actually. So we have 8 for the German unit, and we get +1 for the double objective. So effectively 9 versus 7. It's a +2. So 2d6 +2. That's pretty darn good. I think we're going to hurt the Americans. And yeah, we do. So we get a total of a 10. So these guys take a step loss and go back, basically 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3. And already, zoom out a little bit, this guy's down to his last step. So we're so far succeeding, right? We moved 1.5, fired once. So then it would be 3, and we can't move any further. Maybe I should have put him on his movement side. But too late. We rolled dice. So that's sort of the limitation on that one. But that's still hurting him pretty bad, and we're making good progress. I feel bad. I should have put him in move mode. Gosh darn it. All right. Well, that's okay. I think we did good. We did good. I mean, we basically don't even want this guy in the fight as the Americans anymore. He's so beat up. He needs to recover. These guys are feeling, just fine, basically. So, sorry that I keep moving this around. So we're good there, and then we're going to bring up the rest of these units. So one, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Ugh. So basically, just going to do this, move everybody up some, and that's really it there. Now we're going to roll once again on the fatigue, and it's a question of did we do anything grossly different here than the last activation? Well, we didn't do an attack sequence. We continue to do attack by fire, so we're going to roll, and we'll get and let me see if this might matter on whether or not fresh affects this. If it does, then we're good. No, we don't get the +1 for this. The +1's only for snafu and to activate again. So we did actually get a fatigue. And so we go from fresh to a fatigue 0, I believe, is the case. So now I'm going to slide this down so we know where we're at with that. So pretty good activation. Okay, I got to call the video here, guys. This is a super long video. We'll call it strategy discussion and first activation, and that's it. So what have we seen? Well, we activated this division. We brought them down. We have pretty badly mauled the armor of the Americans that was kind of sticking its neck out. The fog didn't really give us the advantage we wanted, but we at least made a good roll of it. Oh gosh, you know what? The artillery. We still had the artillery for the second activation. So what can we have done with that? When could we have used that? The question is, can we take a shot at these guys to finish them off? I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that. Well, yeah, the visibility is going to be a problem. Spotting's the problem. The fog, and we're not going to be able to spot. Maybe if we had done the barrage. Well, let's do this. I'm gonna correct this just because I feel like that this is a silly mistake to have made, and I should have known better. What we're gonna do? We're gonna roll die. We're gonna have used our artillery, and I'm going to say that we would have done this prior to the fire on this unit here. So yeah, this feels a little weird, but I think I'm gonna do it. So it's especially good so that we can display more combat types in the video. So this is an artillery. So on our charts, we're going to use the artillery table. And our target is hard. And we know that because that is a yellow NATO symbol. So we're going to need a 6, but I'm going to roll it. 4. Okay, I missed. All right. Well, big deal about nothing. Okay, so we used our artillery. We still managed to force the Americans to retreat. We're trying to beat back their screen, which has also taken some damage. That's an okay activation. Not the best activation, but it's something. So there we go. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate if you managed to stick through me stumbling through it. It's been a while since I've played BCS, but it's starting to come back to me now. I'm starting to formulate the beginnings of this Panthers in the Fog situation has helped me a lot get connected back to the game. I'm imagining the firefight already, and I look forward to the next activation, which, again, in the way that I'm playing today, we'll just simply go back to the Americans. They have the potential to activate this blue formation, blue band formation, or activate a different unit. And I'm wondering what I want to do there. It's either activate the blue or activate the second cav and try to pull them back or something. So we'll figure that out in the next video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Take care. See you in the next one. Keep gaming.